Just there we go. Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday again. It's Kath Holloway here from the South Somerset team. Again with you, same as last week. And as you can see, I've got Mike Toot with me from Bonfire. So today, as you can see from my little decorations in the background, Mike, by the way, you failed on that one. So the first thing we're going to do today is talk a little bit about what Halloween's going to look like this week. And then possibly a little bit about Bonfire Night as well. Since we've got Mike with us, it would be silly not to. But Mike's real job today is really to follow on from last week, where we were talking about how to set up our homes and systems to reduce emergencies within the house. So hopefully he's going to be able to have a little chat with us about, you know, just keeping things safe, escape routes, things like that. But I wanted to say thank you, first of all, Mike, because I know you've already been out this morning and been out to a safety visit. And he literally sort of skidded into the room and sat on his chair, and he's already with us. So I do appreciate it. Thank you very much. So as you can see, so to start with, you can see I've put up my decorations, and that is probably about the extent of Halloween this year. We all know that COVID is starting to wreck all our autumn festivals and possibly our winter ones as well, although we haven't heard anything quite yet about South Somerset. I'd like to remind everyone that Yeovil, of course, has got the lowest COVID infection rate in the country. Go Yeovil, which I imagine includes Chard and everywhere else. Yeah, so what's happening this year mostly is that people are, they're saying, right, go out, no trick-or-treating, no sweets, because of course, if you think of all those lovely little hands going into the same bowl, it's just such a huge transmission risk. But it doesn't mean we can't enjoy it, because of course we can still go out. Lots of villages and towns have got Halloween trails on, so you can go round, have a look at everybody else's decorations, and then you just have a look. So there's no knocking on the doors, no trick-or-treating, and no sweets. Although when we say no sweets, I expect a few people will get a bit upset. So the idea really is if you parents take your own sweets, and then I think personally, I wouldn't just be handing those sweets to the children. I reckon that they need to do some tricking, but not obviously on other people. They've got to do a trick to get their treat. So I was thinking, you know, we could do a fitness thing and get them all doing star jumps before they get their sweet. Or maybe coming up with a caption for different people's displays and decorations that they've put on. So they've got to actually work to get their sweets as they go around. And most of the villages have got Halloween trails, and I've popped onto the chat here that I know Horton and Broadway are doing one. I'll just stick it on here because I can do that. Look at that. So local shops, posters, lots of them are actually doing organised events. So it is a case of checking on Facebook and your local banners to see what's going on. And I was going to go over to you, Mike, at this point, because we were just talking the other day, weren't we, about the fact that there's a big fun fair going on at Yeovil Showground, isn't there? I've put the details on here, but fire away, because you know a little bit more about it, don't you?
Yeah, it's called the Scare Fair. It's up on Yeovil Showground, and sort of seeing things on social media, they seem to have a lot of their things in place to keep it sort of COVID sort of safe when such things. I understand that the council have obviously been up there and they're happy to let them off. So yeah, they seem to be sort of cleaning down on a regular basis, and yeah, we've had good reports.
Oh, brilliant. And it's just nice to know there are some things we can actually do, because it's feel a little bit sort of, you know, that things are going to start closing in again, and you know, we're going to start being restricted. So it's quite good to get out and enjoy what we can right now, isn't it?
Yes, they reference the old Scare Fair. If people are on Facebook, they have got a Facebook page, and you go on there and you can sort of see some of the precautions that they've put in place. So if you're considering it, you know a little bit more about it prior to attending.
Brilliant. I mean, I was a little bit worried about the weather, whether they were going to close it down. So I've put the phone number at the bottom, you know, so that people can call up first if they're going to travel a little way to get there. But I don't know I don't know if you've heard anything yet. Weather's looking pretty rough, isn't
I
it?
know that there was one day which they weren't operating, and again, that was on Facebook, just to say that for people not to turn up, because it must have been last weekend, Saturday or Sunday. So, but as you say, there is a contact number, or I think they monitor the Facebook quite well.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah. Oh, that is good. And weather is probably the main thing that's going to be a bit of an issue with Halloween. I know we were going to put our Halloween trail up quite early because people are starting already to walk around the village and follow our Halloween. Well, when I say ours, I'm not taking any credit for it. It's actually the preschool have put together a Halloween a Halloween hunt where you've got to go around and see all the different pumpkins in the windows. So I thought, right, we need to get ours out quite early. But of course, it's been absolutely hammering down, and so we haven't put anything out yet because it's all going to get ruined. I'm thinking about these winds and things, and wondered if you've got any sort of fire safety tips for Halloween itself.
Well, our main sort of concern regarding Halloween is the use of candles, whether it be internally or externally. Historically, we have had sort of fires, and sometimes with a candle, it could be because they're too close to the furniture or curtains or such things. Some of you might remember back, I think it was 2015, Claudia Winkleman off the TV, her daughter sadly got injured in a fire because at that point there was costumes on sale which didn't come up to a standard. Nowadays, if you buy a costume, then it's got to have the CE mark or whatever. But so far as the candles, what we're suggesting is that people get these little battery operated type things, which you haven't got that the fire risk with.
Absolutely. Although you have to be careful with those as well in disposing of the batteries, don't you? Because they're very small, and I think pets can eat them. And
yeah. Well, it's in life. If you use it as per manufacturer's instructions, then you shouldn't have the problems. But sadly, we know over the course of time, especially with celebration time, then you get that chap, that Mr. Alcohol fella. He turns up, and he's not. But obviously, that's more down to the adults rather than the youngsters.
Yeah, I have to say that there's been an enduring memory that has stuck with our family of me, and it wasn't Halloween, I have to admit, it was Chris Dingle. And I was dutifully at the age of probably about 3 or 4, carrying my candle like this.
Yeah.
Started to go, and I got too close to the lady in front with long hair and a fur coat. And I've never been allowed to forget that. It wasn't my fault. I was 3. So yeah, I'm with you on the battery operated ones. I think that's a really
good. Yeah. But no, as you say, there's always a way to get over some of these things. But years ago in the dictionary, you had something called common sense, but sadly, that seemed to have been removed.
Yeah, and actually, do you know, that's probably, instead of talking about the home safety, sort of moving on to bonfire night when you're saying common sense is quite a nice place to go with that, really, because Mike and I were having a chat a bit earlier on, and I'd like to think I'm a proper country girl. I was born and bred here, etc. But I did have a little bit of time away in the city, about 15 years. And when we first moved back here, we were looking at the Chinese lanterns, and I was saying like how they were really fashionable at the time, and we let ours off. It went up into the sky, went over the back of the house, and then I watched it start to descend. And it was only at that point I suddenly realised that I was living in a village with thatched cottages and fields full of ready to harvest caught wheat, not maize, which of course would have cost tens of thousands of pounds if they'd landed in the field. So I was through the door, down the road, running after these Chinese lanterns, stamping them out, and they had actually landed on the road, fully lit. And I said, that's it, we're not doing that again. And but it took me, I think, because I've been away so long, it just didn't click, because we'd see these lanterns and they were going off, sailing through the sky, and we hadn't actually seen any of them crash, so it hadn't occurred to me. And I probably shouldn't have actually fessed up to that on live Facebook, should I? But yeah, sometimes we need to be reminded what might happen. So it's good to have you, Mike, to come up with some good ideas.
The thing is, like I say, with the lanterns, this time of year you haven't got your standing crops. However, you have still got your thatch, and you've got barns full of hay and straw and in all such things. As I say, hopefully the lantern use has been reduced, but it's like fireworks. You got what we call fallout. Where's this hot rocket going to land, etc., etc. So it is giving it a bit of thought as to what direction you send these things, because, say, no disrespect, but let's say some people do come down and live in the country now, and they wouldn't consider, like you say, the fire risk. Our concern this year is because obviously with the COVID, we haven't got the big organised displays. So opinion appears to be that more people are going to have a little display in their back garden, which if used safely, it is like with a whether it be the fireworks, or in some cases people might still have that little bonfire. Again, bit of thought, make sure it's not too close to anything combustible, whether it be fence or shed or such things. And we just got a spectator walking by, but
is he going to bring you a cup of coffee? I think he had one in his hand, didn't he?
Well, is he going to make a cup of coffee? I think that'd be a first if he did, but no. I haven't seen anybody else. Yeah, it's all right. We're live on the.
Not the telly.
Yeah, you're live. Right.
You're on the telly.
Just get rid of them a second. Yeah, but no, they say whether it be the fireworks or the bonfires themselves is a bit of thought, because if we go back in time, we have had some serious fires on bonfire night, and then it's a case of what people are burning, because you've obviously got the environmental issues as well. But again, like I say, going back to our countryside, animals, whether it be pets or the farm, cattle, horses. Most people would expect a few fireworks to be let off in and around bonfire night, give or take a couple of days, depending on what day of the week it falls. However, we've already this year we've had a case in, I think it was over at Petherton, where someone had a bonfire party and sadly didn't let the neighbours know, so they had a lot of domestic, which got very frightened.
Yeah, absolutely.
Going back to the horses, if they're in the stables, they can soon do a lot of damage because they get spooked.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, I had a horse for a little while, and I did go up after bonfire night, and she was fine, happy as Larry. I was very lucky. But of course, like you say, if you put a horse in a stable overnight and they get, they are going to rear up, hit the head, or crash through the door. But then, of course, if you leave them out, you know, it's a risk as well if the fireworks are headed in their direction. So I guess it's a note to all of us to think about where, you know, where would be the safe place. I mean, we've got a field behind us, which is now just a muddy, wet, sloppy pile. So directing things in that direction will probably be the best bet, because they will just land and fuzz and go out. But the other thing, we've got all our hedge clippings, which to be got rid of. I think I'm going to end up just spending most of the time putting them in my green bin, because, you know, week after week or fortnight after fortnight, because it's just all so wet, it's not going to burn, is it? So putting heated red sparks into the sky, which could catch light, couldn't they?
And also, it depends on what fireworks people are letting off, because fireworks come in basically 3 different categories, ranging from the ones you safe to use in your back garden to a semi-display to the professionals. And again, we've had cases where people have been they've got over professional type fireworks and letting them off in residential areas and such things. So obviously, given off by them is going to be a lot greater than the few fireworks that you perhaps buy from Tesco's or Lidl's or wherever you
I have to admit, I have been chased with a firework before. It was quite scary. I was walking over to friends on bonfire night when I lived in London, and it did literally ping past my head. And it really did frighten me, because, of course, there've been lots of stories about them being used as weapons in Bristol at the time. And, you know, I just didn't appreciate it. It was not nice. And it was one of the things that's kind of finally G say, come on, Kath, get home. I've had enough now. It is really.
There are the clowns around who are into that sort of thing. I know colleagues, not locally, but throughout the country, they've been called to a certain address, and when they get there, they're greeted by a a barrage of rockets coming down the road at them, sort of business. Yeah.
That's just ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, why you'd want to put other people, you know, especially people who are there to help us, why would you put them in danger? It's just beyond me. So really, if we can keep it all to Saturday night, would be the best bet, wouldn't it? Keep it on the Saturday night so that it's all done and dusted in a couple of hours. Because I mean, if it's all within a certain time on a certain night, then everyone can kind of just take a deep breath and, you know, get past it, can't they?
That's it, because I know in the past that perhaps some of the big organised parties didn't want to clash with another organisation, so they have operated over a few days. Whereas now, if it's just a few in your back garden, everybody can do it then the same evening and not upset anybody.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that used to drive me mad again in London was the fact that, of course, there's so many festivals, autumn festivals going on, because you had Eid and you had Diwali, as well as Bonfire Night, and the fireworks would spread out over the whole of sort of month of October and November. And it was just constant, and it used to drive me insane. And actually, one day when I went out in the evening, went out to class on November the 5th, it was a weekday. And honestly, it sounded like something like Sarajevo. It was just horrendous. And I thought, God, anybody over here, a refugee must be, just holding their head in their hands. This is horrendous. It was one after the other after the other. It was, we're so lucky living down in the countryside where there's just less.
That's it. So the thing is, people expect it. Bonfire Night, New Year's Eve are the two main sort of days when things are going to happen. If people are going to, like they do it, say for a wedding celebration or some such thing, is that if they're going to do it, let your local neighbours know, but at least then they can be sort of prepared for their animals and such things.
Absolutely. No, thank you very much. So if we move on now to, so last week I was talking with Yvette from Careline and Helen from Adult Social Care, and they were having, we were talking really about how to set up our homes and our information so that if there is an emergency, then all that information is there. So for example, if you're a carer, to carry one of the carers' emergency cards and have clear information about what your cared for person needs. So for example, if it's an autistic person, their likes and their dislikes, and the same possibly with someone with dementia, because of course those little things can make a huge difference in the ability of that cared for person to cope. We were talking a bit about slippers and toenails and sort of preparing, having blankets around so that if you do go down, you can at least get yourself covered up, or maybe chairs that you can pull yourself up on. I was a little bit hesitant about that one because, of course, it depends on what chairs you're pulling yourself up on and whether you just end up pulling the chair on top of you. So what I was hoping today as well is if you'd have a little chat maybe about escape routes, or, talking about how to sort of safety the house, or things that the fire service would appreciate if there is a fire, perhaps. I'm going to pass over to you, to tell a bit about that.
I don't know how many people are aware, but we do a thing called free home safety visits, where we'll send one of our team into your home and to do basically is an assessment. It's all totally free, and it's on a goodwill basis. So we won't come in and say, right, you've got to spend thousands of pounds doing X, Y, and Z. It will be goodwill advice. The visit is, like, say, threefold. We're coming to look at potential causes of fire, so therefore reduce the chance of fire in the first place. Number two, you've got something in place. So if there is a problem, you're aware of it. That is smoke detectors. But again, with smoke detectors, it's going to be specific for yourselves. It's not a one-size-fits-all. You've got what I call basic detectors, and you've got sensory detectors. If people have got hearing impairment, at night the hearing aids go out and they go on the dressing table. So we've got special units for that. You said that you've had Careline come in. We do quite a bit these days, because if people have got Careline, they can get detectors linked into that system. The thing is with those, if they activate, as well as making the noise in the usual way, they'll send us to the Careline monitoring station, and so we'll be aware. Sometimes they'll buzz through, "Are you okay, Mrs. Smith? Yeah, I burnt the toaster," whatever. But if they don't get it, because it shows as an activation of a smoke detector, they'll call us. Because some people, if they're on, say, strong medication, it perhaps knocks them out at night, or sadly these days we get a lot of people with memory issues, in which case the detector might activate and it might not register. But at least they say somebody, the outside world would be aware of it, and worst scenario, we'd get the call. So it doesn't rely on Mrs. Smith picking up the call to herself. Yeah, when we talk about escape routes, we sort of say, talk over nighttime routines. Not do you put your teeth in a cup of water, or do you put the cat out? It's things like, do you close most of your doors? Because if a door's closed, if there's a fire, it's going to hold smoke back. But also, if the door's open, oxygen can obviously assist the fire in developing.
Do you know, I'd forgotten about that one, so I'm glad you said that. I'm kind of guiltily looking around my house going,
it's like keys, how to get out of the house. A lot of homes now, it's from the outside, it's a key, from the inside, it's a twist and go. But we see the cases where they are lockable from both sides. And especially if people say got a key box on the outside, it's making sure that you've took the keys out from the inside. So if there is somebody needs to get in, they can do that. Have people got a telephone in the bedroom? So if for any reason they can't get to a place of safety, they've got a way of raising. If people say live out in the country where there's no, say, street lighting, if your power went off and you can see to get around, if you've got a street light outside, sometimes there's enough borrowed light to be able to move around. So what do we do? Torch by the side of the bed.
Yeah, no, it's true, isn't it? Yeah.
It's all these sort of things which, well, it's just a little bit of thought. Yeah. But
one thing.
Yeah, go on.
Sorry. I was going to say one thing that we learnt about it, which was where you've got the sets of sockets, like the 4 blocks. I mean, we do turn it off now a lot more than we used to, I have to admit, after having a safety visit. But what I didn't realise was that you can actually overpower the wattage of these blocks as well, can't you, without realising it? So put 4 in and it's okay.
Say with electrical appliances, some appliances are designed to be left on overnight. Others, if it's not, turn it off. The rule of thumb is if it's got a clock on, designed to be left on. And also stuff like your fridge and your freezer, and some of your what I call your skybox and your Freeview and that sort of thing. Go per manufacturer's instructions. Other than that, if it's not designed to be left on, turn it off, because if it's turned off, it's not a problem. Again, we touched on memory problems just now. We've had cases where Mrs. Smith is done her ironing, doesn't turn off the iron, so it's left on for continually. So we've got a little gadget called what I call a 30-minute timer. So you set it, it runs for 30 minutes. After that, it switches itself off. So
I have to say, Mike, that works in our house. We've got one of those because of you talking about it. And my husband always used to leave the iron on, or he used to, we'd go away on holiday and we'd get sort of 20 miles up the road and he'd go, I think I've left the iron on. And so that does exactly that. It just wipes out any risk or any fear of leaving the iron on.
The other favourite is the heated hair curlers, hair straighteners, and all that sort of business.
Yeah.
Quite often, under normal circumstances, we go out and give a lot of talks. And you're there, and the good lady says, yeah, we were going shopping in Tesco's on Saturday. We got halfway to Yeovil, and I thought, did I or didn't I? So I made my husband drive home to the store. So again, it's before we say teenagers and sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Anything, what I call a heating appliance, is a good thing. And again, it's something we issue on a regular basis, and all of our equipment that we issue is all totally free.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. But also this time of year is people have started to use their heating again. Our boiler serviced and maintained, but it's like today, we've been out today, and that was to somebody had a concern about a wood burner. So again, is it been used safely? Is it dry timber? Is it been swept, etc., etc.? Again, if people have got whether it be gas appliances or wood burners, we issue carbon monoxide detectors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've got one of those. It's next to our boiler because our boiler's in. We've got an oil-fired boiler, so it's in a little room in the back there. But I know we had to because I'm a bit of a I'm behaving myself now. But it's very easy when you've got bank statements and things that you want to get rid of. I just chuck them in the fire, or I used to. But of course, it's not really supposed to, are you? Because the paper can flutter up and cause. But sort of chimney fires.
Yeah, so they say with a carbon, people say, "Oh, where do we put it to?" You put it as close to the source as possible. So if there is an issue, it's detected. In your signs for carbon monoxide, it's headaches, drowsiness, feeling sick for no apparent reason. But obviously, we've had cases before now where the doctors suggested that we go out and see because they've got illnesses which are unexplained. The thing is, carbon monoxide, get it into the system, and it takes a long time to get it out, and it can build up over the course of time.
Yeah, and I think you're right. And the thing is, these days, like smoke detectors and things are so clever because you can burn your toast and they don't go off because they're designed not to, aren't they? Although I did manage to get off by blow drying my daughter's hair because she's got really thick long hair. Is there any information about sort of how new smoke alarms work and how we should use them, perhaps?
The thing is, nowadays, let's say the ones that we issue all totally free, and they've got a 10-year life, because historically we used to get a lot of problems. Say Christmas time, oh, they buy a new toy which had needed a remote, so they take the battery, little 9. A lot of those problems are solved because nowadays it's really only the smoke detectors that take that 9-volt battery, because they say, but they're sealed units, so you can't with it, and it should be good for 10 years. As I say, when we come out, we make sure we're in the right place, because if they're too close to the kitchen or too close to the bathroom, cooking fumes, steam can set them off. What we advise is they're checked on a regular basis, once a month. Just give it a prod to make sure it's it's working. Let's say if people have got older units, we're quite happy to come out and exchange. We'll put them up, because the thing is, with us coming out, we'll make sure that there's enough and they're in the right place.
Brilliant, And I think that's it, isn't it? It's having it in the right place, isn't it? So it's not too sensitive. Just typed in, and she's asked us about USB phone chargers, left in with no phone attached. Yeah, that sounds familiar. I know I've a couple of cheap ones which we've had to get rid of because they've got hot and started to, well, not spark, but just, you think that's not going to work. What about if you leave them like this, for example? It's coming out of your core block, which is
recommendation is
there's me end.
When they're not been used, to disconnect.
Okie dokie.
Do it during the day when you're up and about. I know people tend to put them on charge overnight, but as our suggestion is, it is done during the day. It's a bit like your washing machine and your dishwasher. Quite often it's load the dishwasher up, press it on go, disappear upstairs to bed. But as I said, our teaching is, if you do it when you're up and about, if there's a problem, you're going to be there, you're going to see it, you're going to identify it, as opposed to a smoke detector letting you off. And the thing is, with chargers, when you replace your charger, try and get an approved one, because we all know you go on that Mr. eBay and similar sort of sites, and you can get them a lot cheaper. However, they don't always comply to the same standard as the official ones would. Cigarettes, that's another sort of favour. Anything to do with a charger, as I say, if you can do it during the day when you're up and about, and at night, switch it off, not a problem.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's just discipline, isn't it? I remember the days when you had kettles that used to plug into the back, and of course you'd end up leaving a little puddle of water from the kettle. You'd have the live end of the kettle sitting on the work surface, and you had to just be disciplined and realise that it is a problem. But luckily kettles sit on now, don't they, to get rid of that problem.
The thing is, it's a lot of things, like you say, standards have changed and things are a lot. It's a bit like at home with your consumer use it, fuse box, whatever you want to call it. With the trips and breakers, if there's a problem, it's going to switch itself off. Whereas years ago, the old wired fuses, you needed more of a problem for it to blow the fuse. You probably find if a light bulb goes, it throws a trip, but it just shows how sensitive those systems are.
Brilliant. Yeah. So on a very last quick little note, because we are running out of time now, I think one thing that I wanted to touch on was maybe people who, not necessarily hoarders, but have a lot of things. Some of our older generation tend to, especially if they've downsized and they've gone from their nice big 5-bedroom house, 2-bedroom bungalow or 1-bedroom Yarlington place. They've got a lot of stuff, haven't they? So, it's thinking about, pathways of escape routes and things. And I was wondering if you had any ideas or things you'd like to talk about with that. Perhaps.
Yeah, from our side of things, it is, as you say, if it's maintaining a clear passageway, because we get it. We go into a house and it's stacked upstairs either side. And of course, in an emergency, something gets dislodged and it cuts off their means of escape. They say we get the 2 trains would say where it's useful stuff. So get what I call the Mr. Trebus scenario, where the place is just rubbish. The thing is, nowadays we have got agencies who can work with us to reduce such scenarios.
Oh, that is brilliant. Yeah, because, it can, once it starts to get out of hand, people can get quite embarrassed and not want to ask for help. I mean, we're happy to try and help people to, to support them with being able to make decisions about what to get rid of and what to keep. And perhaps, like you say, just even if you can't get rid of it, finding a way of making an escape route so there is a clear way. And also, I think the thing that struck with me greatly was once you were saying about how you've actually been in houses and didn't realise that they were hoarded, and you've gone in the dark, the electric's gone out, you're there with your torches, and bam, you've gone straight into, things, hot things in the house. And I remember that struck a real chord with me.
I'd say the thing is, these sort of situations don't happen overnight, but it's been like it for so long it becomes the normal. We had a case where it was a first floor flat. There was so much, so we say, items that the weight on the floor in base. What happened was, because the person wouldn't move it. It was a housing association type place, and they went to court, and it was judged that they had to get it removed, sort of thing.
Yeah, I know, it's a good idea, isn't it?
But it's the fire loading as well. If it does catch, then a lot of combustibles. Yeah,
of course. Yeah, but, it's just going to go up, isn't it? So as well as you not being able to get out and the fire people not being able to get in, it's actually going to burn. So yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on today, especially as you did have to come flying in, and we do appreciate it. I was hoping you'd still have your yellow coat and your boots on. Have you got your boots on still, or did you manage to get them off?
There's an answer to this one, but we won't go there.
Oh, brilliant. Well, thank you again. I'm not sure.
No problem.
I think there is some more stuff going on fire safety next week with Halloween. I'm not sure, actually. I need to check. I did have a quick look through who we got next week, but I have actually failed to remember now when it's the crucial point of
no, it's not a problem.
Next week.
Sorry,
I was just asking Wendy if it's her next week. I was just seeing if she was still there, because she's been typing in a little bit, so I was going to see if she knew what was happening next week, or Pete. But no, I think I'm just going to have to fail on that point, I think.
I was going to say, if any of your viewers have got any specific questions, they can come through you to come to us, and we can get them sorted.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I've put on, if I just put it on again, I put on this one here, which is the website and it's got lots of information about, hang on, I'm trying to scroll down it, but I'm not sure I can. fire safety, and I think it's got your number on there, which you possibly know. I know it ends in 999.
Oh, yeah, free phone 0800.
Sorry, I'll stop blocking.
02 999.
Brilliant. So you froze a little bit there. So is it all right to say it again?
0800 05. Oh, you. Yeah, that's the one.
So it's a mirror image, so I'm doing a really bad job of holding it still and straightening it in the line.
Yeah. No, that is the current one. Yeah, that's fine.
Brilliant. 0800 05
Yeah. And the thing is, when things get back to normal, if any of your viewers belong to clubs, then we'll be back out talks, etc. So no,
it'd be brilliant to get those started again, wouldn't it? It's been
but
going
the question is that thing called normality, isn't it?
Whatever that might look like. Oh, brilliant. Well, thank you again. Well, we shall say goodbye and to end the broadcast. So have a lovely weekend, everyone. A lovely Halloween, and we'll see you, or I think it might be Wendy next week. But thanks again, Mike. Bye bye, everyone.
See you in a bit. Many thanks.